Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today for the half-time bulletin, I'm joined by Lawrence Conley and Laura Bradburn. Now, we covered all the games last season, Laura. Some of them were absolutely tedious to cover. It was going from bad to worse at times. I think one of the highlights, it was me, you and Lawrence watching the Scottish Cup final when we managed to wrap up the quadruple treble. This season, I hope, is going to be different. Performances like today's are in the same vein as we are now becoming accustomed to under Ange Postecoglou. Talk us through that first half performance and some of your observations, Laura.
The first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that, Kyogo has rightly grabbed all the headlines for the way in which he's come into the team and, settled and made himself at home. But more people starting to talk about Liel Abada. He's absolutely unreal. And I don't just mean because he scored 2 goals today, because I think actually at least one of them was down to the St Mirren goalkeeper to an extent. But I think he is so dangerous on that right-hand side in terms of a threat, both getting into the box to shoot himself or delivering for somebody else. And I said it the first time I saw him, and I'll repeat it now. He's so willing to take people on. It's his first thought. It's like, it's not even as if, you get other wingers and things like that will knock a ball past somebody and try and run past them. He doesn't do that. He really tries to bamboozle the defenders that he's up against, and it's proven to, reap so many rewards today. The other player that I think's been a standout, obviously because of his goals and everything else, was David Turnbull. But I mean, I could bore you senseless what I think about David Turnbull, so I'll let you guys talk about somebody else for a change.
To be fair, Laura, I'm disappointed that he's not up on that collection of footballers behind you on the wall. I'm quite disappointed that Turnbull's not there yet.
It's Baggio, Cruyff and Messi, so maybe Turnbull's next now.
remove Baggio. Aye, Turnbull can go up there. Dot boy, Ange ball in full flow. Yeah, the one and only Tony Haggerty calls it the rip-roaring, free-scoring, never-boring Glasgow Celtic. Lawrence, have we got that version of Celtic back under Ange?
Listen, it's definitely looking that way. We're getting more goals. A couple of goal scorers. Shooting seems to have deserted him. Kyogo. They put your money on that.
That was a sitter.
Yep. And Tony Ralston, he would normally get that on target. I don't know what's happening. He's shooting today. I know he's with his left foot, but I'm expecting big things from Tony. So hopefully, the second half, he's got his shooting boots on. Big Carol Starfelt, elbow in the face. Kyogo 2 or 3 times off the ball, he's taken out.
Yep.
In fact, the ref stopped it for one, but didn't give an offence. So it wasn't a head knock. You're stopping it. There's that in the rules. I'll just stop it because there was no offence. There's no head knock. There's not a second ball at the park.
Drop ball.
I'll just stop it and drop the ball.
I know.
It's bizarre. Or the free kick we got when Turnbull's taken out, he plays advantage. Split second. It's with Eddie. He's taken out. And he gives us the offence further forward, which makes it harder for us with the free kick because we're closer in. Resulting free kick, it's blocked by a player because it's hard to get up and down in such a short distance. But listen, it's 4 going on 10, I think, is it?
Well, the magical 10. Let's have a wee chat about this because what we've got is Daniel who's coming in. Welcome to the show, Daniel. Great first half, same again second half. Absolutely. Kakashi comes in. Fantastic. Let's get another 4. We were talking just before half time, Lawrence. I turned around to you and said, we need to be ruthless. We cannot, because you, and we'll talk about this after the sending off, felt that Celtic's tempo dropped a bit. We cannot take our foot off the pedal here. We've got to be ruthless. And I'm going to bring up one of ACSOM's contributors here. Russell Boyce, 10. That's all he says, because he has made a bold prediction this season, Laura. And I'm not taking anything for granted, but I'll tell you what, see, after last season, I'm enjoying this, right? So Russell Boyce has said that at some point, if this goes into full flow and we get a couple of signings in, someone's going to be hit for 10. Russell Boyce has made that bold prediction. When you're watching the team playing like they are today, 4-0 up at half-time, them down to 10 men, they're going to tire. We've got fresh legs ready to come on and turn the screw even more. It's days like today that anything can happen. We want to keep that tempo up in the second half. Is the key to doing that, Laura? Maybe shuffling the pack a wee bit?
I think so. I think potentially there's a couple of bits that maybe aren't working as well as it could be. Dare I say it, Kyogo maybe moving position could possibly help. I actually think he would be more of a danger through the middle than Edward would be. I think Edward's taken up some good positions, but he's just not quick enough on the turn or getting the ball out from under his feet, I think, and it's causing issues with getting the chances that we really need. So that would be my preference. I don't know who Edward would go off for, but I think if he did that, you could definitely see even more goals. But what I will say as well is, like you're saying about enjoying it, we do get a lot of stick on here sometimes for being a bit overly negative, and I appreciate that. It's difficult to always stay positive when you're looking for different things to talk about. But what I would say is, I'm just enjoying this today. I'm enjoying fans being back at Celtic Park. I think after the absolute dross we had to watch last season, some of the accusations that were thrown at Celtic fans last season, to have a manager who wants to entertain us, to have a team who wants to entertain us, and to have fans back in the ground fully enjoying it and us able to watch from home and enjoy it, I've got very little negative to say. I just watched with a smile on my face for 45 minutes. And the other thing about Ange as well is, we saw from the Ange mic'd up at the training session that he always talks about never stopping until the final whistle. There's so many other managers at 4-0 at half-time would be making loads of changes and stopping the game. I think Ange is... I think the reason Russell said about somebody getting hit for 10 is because he knows that Ange will go in at 4-0 up and not slow the game down. He will have them riled up to come back out in the second half. We've got 2 players looking for a hat-trick, so there's at least 2 more goals there to motivate the team before you even talk about anybody else.
And if you consider, Laura, the chance, and I'm going to bring this up because it goes to a point that Tony made last week, the chance that Kyogo misses at the back post, the fact that Eddie's hit the bar, then you start thinking to yourself, the game could actually open up even more. Now 27 comes in, Kyogo could still be sharpened up, cut out the sillies too. Now the thing is with that, the very same point was made by Tony last week, and he was lambasted for it, because when a player's come in and made the impact that he has, and there is no doubt he has made an incredible impact, 6 goals and 6 appearances, one of which was from the bench, then it's hard to find anything to criticise him for. Yet there's an example on, so we spoke about it in the first half, it could be even better, and I think that's going to come with time as well. Yeah,
definitely. Listen, that's a Saturday thing. He's just got a wee bit of direction on it, just pushing it, no power. It's back in the net. Laura said she doesn't know who'll come on from Eddie. Listen, just switch Kyogo and Eddie. Eddie's done it before, coming in from the left. Try it, see where it goes, because I agree with Laura. I think Kyogo's better through the middle, and Eddie's not doing it. He's shown a bit more running about, a bit more willingness today, but he's just not as sharp as Kyogo up there. So try switching the two of them about. I think Ange could make second half subs without taking the foot off the gas now. We've got a big week coming up, so maybe see Montgomery coming on for Taylor. Although, Taylor's had some cracking through balls, hasn't he? Another assist from what a cross that was for Abada.
Well,
a yard before he gets the ball, you see the way you look up, and he's hanging up just where Lil Abada wants it.
We need to speak about him, Lawrence, because he's coming for a lot of criticism. William Peeden points out not only the 2 chances I mentioned, but Turnbull also hit a post in the first half. Mark comes in. Welcome to the show, Mark. You're watching on YouTube. 18 attempts. Can we do 40 or 50? With this football, nothing's predictable. What a difference compared to last season. Now, we spoke about Taylor before the game. We also, Laura, spoke about Carl Starfelt before the game. These are 2 players that have come in for some criticism, despite Celtic's performances as of the last few weeks. And Mark Callaghan points out Starfelt hasn't put a foot wrong. Absolutely. And neither is Greg Taylor. I think Taylor was one of the standouts in that first half. Yeah,
I mean, I said it before the game. I think he's good enough for the domestic league, and I think he's shown that today. He's absolutely reliable. He certainly works within the system. I think the only failing that he has is when he's under more defensive pressure than he has been today. But I think going forward, he's decent enough to add to the team. And I think he's proved that today. He's arguably had a slightly better game, well, quite a bit of a better game than Ralston on the other side. So, not every player's going to have a fantastic game. He didn't have a fantastic game against Alkmaar on Thursday, but I'm more than delighted with what he's doing today. And as Kevin said when we were doing the game coverage the other night, I'd rather be, what was it he said? I'd rather be wrong and happy than right and annoyed. So, like Greg Taylor putting in the performance today that he's put in, regardless of what you think of him as a player. He's a Celtic footballer putting in a great performance, and you can't be anything but happy with that.
Absolutely. Now, I've got to bring this point up from Pork Pie 7. Power was a total thug every time he played against us when he was at Kelly. Now, when that challenge went in, Lawrence, I was angry because I feel the exact same about Power. I think he is everything that epitomises anti-football. And every time Celtic play him, I'm thinking back to the challenge that he made on Jeremy Frimpong. Remember, Frimpong was carried off last season, and various others. And, people, the commentary team were considering whether or not that was a harsh red. Power goes into hurt players, Lawrence, and that's what he did there. And, it was a red all day.
Yeah, he's showing his studs. He's chopping down and showing his studs. And you're not trying to play the ball, mate. You're trying to collect the player here. You're trying to do some damage. It's up to Scottish football. If refs keep issuing red cards for it, are consistent. We see some players get away with challenges like that. But I think in the whole, the refs made the right challenge. We just need that extended across the league and in all games. Look at some of the abuse of players doing last season. You've touched on it. And it's baffling at times, some of the decisions that, even this season, the first couple of games, some of the tackles were...
Absolutely. There was 3 tackles in the first 2 games. 3 tackles in the first 2 games that could have ended up as reds. 2 against Dundee, 1 against Hearts. So it's, when he flashes that red, I just think it's about time, Lawrence, I don't think, that's a harsh red.
But it needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
Those tackles in the first 2 games, I didn't think that the ref had much of a decision to make. The red card tackles, just do your job. Mm-hmm. Just apply the rules. Players will start cutting out tackles like that because, they don't want to be getting sent off.
No, they don't want to be missing games and missing out on appearance money, etc., etc. The teams are back on the park. There are people in the comment section asking for another 6 goals in the second half. I'm not going to argue with that. Absolutely not. Ian is being a little bit more conservative. Sorry, Ian, for calling you conservative. I don't mean it in a political sense. Another 5 in the second half, please. Yes, I could be doing with that. Let's keep the foot on the pedal, as Putty says. Enjoyable first half. Hopefully we will enjoy the second half. We'll be back at full time. All that's left for me once again to say is thank you to Lawrence Conley and Laura Bradburn for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.